If you're holding out for a 2026 Ford EcoSport, you might be waiting forever. The real story behind this little SUV isn't what you've heard. And the truth is, it's not coming back. A lot of people are still searching for information on a new model. They're expecting an update, a redesign, maybe some new features. But Ford has been very quiet, and there's a good reason for that. In this video, we'll break down the real reason why the EcoSport disappeared from the US market. And more importantly, we'll look at what Ford decided to replace it with. It's probably not what you think. So let's get right into the biggest reason the EcoSport is gone. It all comes down to one big problem: logistics. The Ford EcoSport that was sold in America wasn't built in America. It was imported from a Ford factory all the way over in Chennai, India. A few years ago, Ford made a huge business decision to stop all of its manufacturing in India. When they closed that Chennai plant, the supply chain for the US model EcoSport was completely cut off. Production for the American market just stopped. So, no factory means no more EcoSport. But let's be honest, even if the factory was still running, the EcoSport had a tough time in the US. It was competing in a really crowded market of small crossover SUVs, and it had some major disadvantages compared to its rivals. First, the engines were considered pretty underpowered. The basic 1.0-liter engine just didn't have the punch that other small SUVs had. Then there was the size. For an SUV, the inside felt really cramped. The cargo space was also one of the smallest in its class, which kind of defeats the purpose of getting a utility vehicle. The interior design and the technology also felt a step behind everyone else. Newer competitors were coming out with bigger screens and more modern-looking dashboards. And we have to talk about that rear cargo door. Instead of lifting up like most SUV trunks, it swung out to the side like a car door. While it was unique, it was super impractical. If someone parked too close behind you, you couldn't even open your trunk to put your groceries in. This brings us to the big rumor that has been floating around for years: the Ford Puma. In Europe, Ford sells a small crossover called the Puma, and it's a huge success. It's praised for being fun to drive, having cool styling and clever features, and even has this thing called a mega box, which is a secret storage compartment under the trunk floor. Everyone thought the Puma would be the perfect replacement for the EcoSport in the US. It just made sense. But here we are in mid-2025, and Ford has made zero official announcements about it. Insiders say that the cost for changing the Puma to meet all the US safety and emissions rules is just too high. Ford has seemed to be focused on vehicles that make them more money. And that leads us to the climax of this story: Ford's new strategy. Ford decided not to replace the EcoSport with another similar car. Instead, they found a new entry-level champion. And that champion is the Ford Maverick compact pickup truck. The Maverick has been a massive success. It offers so much more utility than the EcoSport ever did. You get more space inside, a truck bed, and the standard version is a hybrid. It hit that sweet spot for buyers who wanted something affordable but also very practical. The Maverick is now the vehicle that gets new buyers into the Ford brand. If you do want a small Ford SUV now, your starting point is the Ford Escape, but the Escape is in a bigger and more expensive category. So, to sum it all up, there is no 2026 Ford EcoSport planned for the United States. The factory that made it for the US market closed down. On top of that, the vehicle itself struggled to compete. Ford has completely changed their game plan. They've shifted their focus to the incredibly popular Maverick truck as their new entry-level vehicle. The company has successfully moved on, leaving no room for an EcoSport comeback.